faith. Have faith. Believe in your source. Have faith.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavidez, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Krokonis Hanson, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. For over 40 years, Alan Papaleo has made significant contributions to the salon industry as a visionary artist, educator, and innovator with a degree in fine arts and expertise in drawing and painting. Alan brings a unique perspective that seamlessly combines creative artistry with technical excellence. Additionally, as a third-degree black belt in Korean martial arts, he integrates discipline and focus into his teaching philosophy, inspiring students to achieve both mastery and balance in their careers. Alan's extensive career highlights include being a member of top platform teams in the beauty industry, receiving numerous accolades such as the Los Angeles Master of the Craft Award and earning the prestigious Matrix Platform Artist of the Year title. His work has been featured on television and print media and acclaimed art exhibitions, showcasing his talent across multiple disciplines. Currently, Alan serves as senior artistic member of the Ergo team, traveling nationally and internationally to teach the Ergo art of blow dry. Renowned for his engaging and insightful teaching styles, he combines strong foundational principles with creative exploration, empowering stylists to build sustainable and fulfilling careers. Alan's guiding philosophy, inhale education and exhale creativity, continues to inspire professionals to grow artistically and technically while embracing lifelong learning. And now let's welcome in Alan Papaleo.
Hi there, and welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. I am Lulu Benavidez, and I'm so excited to have you join us today on the journey of creativity, innovation, and inspiration. This podcast is about shining a spotlight on the people who dare to dream, and most who dreams a reality. From groundbreaking artists to visionary to business leaders, and moments that have shaped their path. Together, my fabulous co-host, Krokonis Hanson, will explore how our guest turns passion into purpose and create meaningful impact in their industry and community. You hear raw, real conversations filled with insights and advice and, of course, a little laughter along the way. So whether you're tuning in for inspiration, motivation, or just a good story, you're at the right place. Sue, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's so good to be here again. And I am so excited about our guest today, Alan Papaleo. I've been following you for years and years and years on Facebook. Part of why I'm so excited is you are a true artist and a fabulous educator and an icon in our industry. Maybe behind Alan, you can see some of his fabulous work. And we have lots and lots to talk about today. So let's get to it, Lulu.
Okay, Alan, we're so excited for you to be here. And, you know, our podcast is named Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. And you're all that. And we want to spotlight you in this episode. So can you tell us a little bit about how you're a natural gifted artist, whether you're painting or drawing, or whether you're doing hair? And you also were in the Army.
Navy.
So can you go through that little bit of journey with us?
Navy Army game.
We won.
Yeah, you did.
So can you share with the audience your personal journey with us?
Absolutely. Well, you know, you talk about passion and purpose, and I really love that. My background has been always involved with something artistic, and my earliest memory, seriously, from 5 and 6 years old, coloring and doing artwork. it was always my forte. It was my happy space. My father was never around, so I had to find something that would give me some nurturing, right? So it was pretty cool. And getting into hair was just a sort of a natural thing. For me, it's all about seeing. We talked earlier about you and I a conversation about your photography and how you see things differently. Like the man who works with you sees things one way, you see it another. And for me, it's all about the vision. Seeing something finished before you start. I do that with my art. I do that with my hairdressing. I'm a fairly accomplished chef, so I do that with my food. I know what to eat at the very end. So it's seeing the end in sight when you begin.
Wow. No, that's awesome.
Well, and obviously from the hair side, you have won so many awards, just to name a few. Los Angeles Master of the Craft, which is a very prestigious thing to win. Matrix Platform Artist of the Year, another incredible thing, because we know there's some fabulous educators that have been with Matrix. You've been featured on TV. I'm just interested of those type of recognitions. Do you want to talk about anyone specific that may be special to you, or what the different things might represent to you? Because there's some really top-notch stuff to get there, Alan.
Well, if I had to look at just the award things, just talking about that, the one that meant the most to me was the Matrix Platform Artist of the Year. And because at that point, was it 2020? No, what was it? 2000. That's further than 2020. At that point, some of the most amazing people, and there's some of them are still there with Matrix, were on that team. I learned every single time I went to a training from them. I learned so much. I got involved with Matrix because of Tony Beckerman, which you're a good friend. And I came to Matrix through him, through Image Laboratories. And when I sat at my very first artist training at Matrix in Cleveland, and I saw the likes of Nick Friend, people, it made me crazy. Vivian McKinder. I'm well, what the heck is going on here? How am I part of this? But it reinforced something I've always done in my life, is that when I did something, whether it was art or martial arts or whatever it was, I always surrounded myself with the people who I wanted to be exactly like, who were making the difference. And when I got that award in 2000, it was like the most amazing thing for me, because I'm looking at my peers, also my mentors, applauding for me. And that was the best day of my life in this industry.
Yeah.
And we talked about the craft and you being in Matrix. So, Tony Beckerman, he was one of our did one of our episodes.
Yes.
And earlier, before this podcast, we talked about we learned in the beginning how to stand, how to maneuver, our bodies in order when we're cutting hair, or we're shampooing, or we're highlighting, or we're doing different services to the client. And that's so, so important to know how you stand. Where did that come from?
Well, I know that Tony had a background in Aikido. Mm-hmm. Aikido is a Japanese art, and Aikido actually means way of the circle or spirit. In Aikido, you don't really attack. You take the attacker's energy and you redirect it. I was in something different. I think you've heard of Chuck Norris, right? We all
Right.
Besides the memes. I trained with Chuck Norris. I worked out with him when I started karate. I was actually working at his studio, selling karate contracts, and for about a month. I got out of the Navy and got that job. And then I never met him. I didn't even know what karate was really about, but my brother-in-law got me a job. I needed a job.
Yeah.
So about a month into my job there, Chuck comes in, great guy. And I finally meet him, and he was doing a movie in Hong Kong with Bruce Lee, who I also knew. And so Chuck said, "Well, how are you enjoying the martial arts?" I go, "Well, I'm enjoying writing the contracts." I said, I'm doing it. I'm not doing it." He goes, "Oh no, if you're going to work here, you're going to do it." Well, I didn't have a car, so for the first 6 months of my training, Chuck every day, 4 to 5 days a week, would pick me up at 6 a.m. His little Mercedes SLC. 6 o'clock in the morning, we go there, and I would work out with him one-on-one. And I got tons of stories about that, which I can't tell.
Oh,
But
wow.
when I finally made my black belt, it was like 3 years later. When I made my black belt, Chuck gave me his black belt. So my black belt is actually one that Chuck wore. Now, getting back to the question, in martial arts, in karate, whatever form it is, your technique is only as strong as your stance, how you stand. And if you're standing behind a chair 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and you'll go in the morning, you're all happy, I'm feeling great. And then at night when you walk out, you're dragging your body out. You were standing wrong. You were holding your arms wrong. It's all about form, about technique, whether it's art, whether it's martial arts, hairdressing. You have to take care of your body. And that's how you have longevity in this. And it goes into everything. Every single thing. And the martial arts gave me one other thing. It gave me discipline to be able to see things differently. Because it's how when we do hair, when we do art, whatever, we have to see it before we can achieve it.
Right.
You know, I want to say this because you never know who's listening. And I feel like it's important to say this. So I'm sure, Alan, people look at you and you're like, oh my God, this big successful LA hairdresser guy who's an artist who's just had this wonderful fairy dust life, born on the right side. It's so important, like you were saying, for people to know that you got out of the Navy, you were looking for a job, you didn't have a car. It's so important to never get up because you never know what's coming around the corner. And so many times it's bigger and better than anything we could ever dream up or perceive. It's just important. I say keep the faith. Some people say keep a positive attitude, but it just, if somebody's out there, and I know how it is, Mother Christmas holiday clients, just take a breath. You never know what's coming around the corner. And
that's a perfect segue into, I'll tell you how I got into hairdressing, because it's so true. You have to keep yourself loose and open to new things. So when I worked for the Norris schools for about 8 years, when Chuck sold the schools, I was basically, I was kind of burned out after that for a while. So a friend of mine, I didn't have a job then. So a friend of mine, one of my students actually, his mother she was a chiropractor, owned a women's health club in Redondo Beach. It was right next to the beach, women only. She hired me to manage the school, her health club. They had an outdoor pool. They had topless sunbathing. I'm the only guy there. I was teaching exercise classes. That's where I met my wife to be. But right next door was a beauty salon that my friend owned. And he had bought a couple paintings off of me. So one day, it was around Christmas time, mentioned Christmas, and he said, "Can you make me some wreaths? You're really good with your hands. Make me some wreaths for the salon." So I made them, and some of his people wanted to buy them. So he said to me after the holidays, he goes, "You're really good with your hands. You're doing nothing with your life. How about becoming a hairdresser?" And I said, "I'll find out about it." Yeah. Less than a month later, I'm in beauty school. I'm going, what in the hell did I just do? What is this all about? And but then I saw the opportunities. And again, when I was in beauty school, I wasn't even licensed. I was taking advanced hair cutting classes with Terry Donnelly and Alan Bush. They didn't know I wasn't licensed. I went to their Obius Academy. I mean, I did. I saw who was tops at the shows and in the industry, and I was their stalker. And that's, and my very first show I ever did was with Tony Beckerman and Terry Donnelly. They took me to Bologna and to Milan.
Jump in with both feet, Alan.
Well, you know what? Here's how you make your mark in life. You see, if you tiptoe in the sand, there's no mark. Jump on it.
Yeah.
Let it go everywhere. Make your mark.
Yeah. Well, Lulu's favorite saying is perseverance. And I just talked to a hairdresser friend of mine. I haven't talked to him in a long time, male hairdresser. And we got talking about beauty school. And he reminded me that when he was in beauty school, he had 2 full-time jobs because he was married and had a child and could not afford just to not be working. And how many times that he said to himself, what am I doing? And 40 years later, he's had a phenomenal career and couldn't think of doing anything else. So perseverance, right, Lulu?
Yeah, definitely.
And one of the biggest, I think, culprits and obstacles for a lot of stylists today becoming successful is YouTube. They watch these videos of people who, most of them aren't even working behind chairs. They're out there doing insane things, some creative, some not so creative, and you start to measure yourself against that. You can't, every day when you go to work, you're measuring yourself against your previous day's work. It's about you, about your interaction with your guest in the chair.
Yeah.
You either defeat yourself or you raise yourself up. I own salons. I live in Charleston now. I moved in 2020 from Los Angeles, and that's another thing. You're talking about being, perseverance and taking chances. When I told my friends, hey, we're moving to Charleston, they're going, you don't have any clients there. What are you going to do? I said, don't worry, I'll make it work. And I have a very nice client base already. It's I believe in what I do. My very favorite saying is, you're never too old to become what you could have been.
Right.
And if you have a formula, if you have a formula to what you want to do, the reason why people hit walls in the salon, remember you two, when you started out, how excited you were. You went to the salon, you weren't very busy, so any guest you got in your chair, you would do everything but shine your shoes and wash your car while they were sitting down. You did everything you could for them.
Right.
So now you start building. Pretty soon, all those little things you would do, that the flat iron, whatever you just threw in there, you're not doing anymore. And now you're getting busier and busier. Now you become complacent. You're not hungry anymore because it's just too easy. Years ago, there was an old bodybuilding movie called Stay Hungry. You got to stay hungry. If you are full, right, you just don't grow.
Right.
So I always tell people, if you're hitting a wall, what made you successful? You've been doing hair 10 years now, 20 years. What made you successful in the beginning? Go back and do it.
Yeah.
You're not too big for that.
Right.
And I guess in this industry, there's so many different opportunities. Not only you can do hair, you can do nails, you can do makeup. There are so many opportunities. It's now with the new people coming out, some are like us and some are not. And we have to take each individual and spend time with them and see what their goals are. If they're going to stay in the salon, because being and it's unfortunate that in school, telling them to be their own boss, when they have no experience. Right. And when we first started, all of us, or anybody, it doesn't make any difference what field you're in, you start at the ground level and you learn from that individual. And that's the beauty about our industry, is that you have so many different opportunities, is finding out what's best for you.
Yeah. There's a couple of these online hairdressing groups I belong to, and you've probably seen these also, where somebody will say, I've been in the industry 6 months now, and I have my own little suite I got out of school, and I'm not making money. I had to get a second job. I'm thinking, why would you?
Yeah.
First of all, the person who rents them that suite is don't do that. They just got out of school. All you're looking for is rent. They can't make that rent.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You sometimes you're too cocky for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
Or again, going back to watching people who I'm charging, outrageous amounts of money. I can do that. No, you can eventually, but you better have the skills to back it up.
Right.
So one thing COVID did for a lot of people is that people were out of their salons for a while. A lot of our guests were not coming in anywhere, so they were online. They were watching YouTube videos. They were doing their hair differently. They were trying things out, cutting their kids' hair. And when the salons opened back up again, they saw a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I always tell students, students in my classes, you're back open now. You better be different from the time that your clients left for COVID when they come back, because they know more now about hair. And even those clients that when you looked on the book and you saw their name, you go, oh no, not her again. You welcome them back with open arms because you missed that money. Learn to love them.
Right.
But learn to do better now.
Right.
So
Correct.
I think COVID worked out for me. I continued to work in people's homes. I moved out here. I was able to close down my spa. I had a beautiful spa in a Hilton hotel. I miss it, but I was able to make the move. So again, there were opportunities, great opportunities for me.
Right.
Sometimes life moves us down the highway, whether we're ready or not. And
Kicking and screaming.
yeah, because you're a consummate educator. One of the things that I would always challenge my staff is hairdressers tend to be very skill orientated, as they should be. And almost every top platform artist, hairdresser, whatever that I know, the education that they've paid for, traveled for, whatever, you don't get to be at the top without education. But it's not just the skills, because what I see missing equally as bad or worse today are verbal skills. Knowing how to communicate with people, to meet that client where they are, to talk about what's important to the client, because women today are coming to the salon not only for a service, they're coming for an experience. And when they walk out the door, if they're not feeling better about themselves and how they spent their money, you're probably not going to see them again.
You're absolutely right.
I think there are, especially the younger designers, who really want to do that. They don't have the skills or the mentoring to do that, which circles around to what you were saying about booth rental. I would encourage anything. For somebody who wants to rent a suite, that's a business decision. But if you're coming out of school, I'll tell you what I do. I'd look for the very best salon with the very best reputation in my area, and I would go beg them for a job, doing anything, including sweeping the floors, and I'd be like a sponge. I'd be looking at every successful stylist in that salon. How did you do it? How did you get here? What classes do you take? And I'd be listening and soaking up, because you want to copy the people who are successful, not the people who are complaining and barely making it.
So true. You're talking about that, about the conversation you have with people. One of the things I love about Ergo, I love, we all know Ergo brushes. I mean, to me, they're the finest tools. I've been with them. We're now 30 years we've been in business. I've been with them probably about 12 to 14 years off and on. And it's Robert Reed, who owns Ergo, is one of the most amazing people I've ever, on the caliber of the Tony Beckerman type. They know how to really to see what the best thing is for someone and how to present it, and also how to get it out of them. And one of the big things about what we do, we call it the art of the blow dry, the finish. The finish, you're talking about when the woman leaves or a man leaves, they want to feel good about themselves. Well, when you say you got your hair done today, Sue, and you went to the mall, and somebody says to you, "Oh, lady, I love your hair." They're not saying to you, Oh, I love that 6RV and those 45-degree angles in your haircut. They're complimenting you on that finish.
Right.
So how do you get to the finish? Well, you get to the finish through a conversation. One of the things that we do in our classes, and this is if you want to gain the loyalty of a client forever, just teach them how to style their hair.
Yeah.
Show them how to style their hair. Ask them, has anybody ever shown you how to blow dry your hair?
Mm-hmm.
And they'll tell you no.
Right.
You know why? Because nobody cared. They want to get you. I used to hate blow drying.
Yeah.
I used to use the 2 dryers in one hand, head down, head back. Adios. And I'm wondering why they're coming back, because I didn't take the time.
Oh.
So you have to know how to talk to somebody. And the best haircuts, the best colors, the best updos all start with the best consultations.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know. You have to know.
Right.
And which leads me to this question is that, we're trained, and I think sometimes we forget that we were already trained on how to communicate with our clients. So we have to teach the new people how to communicate, how to do a thorough consultation, what the consultation consists of, turning that client around or showing them in the mirror why this hair is sticking out all the time. Nobody can never make this hair in the back lay down. Well, she has a growth direction. So if you show the client that, you're actually communicating with the client.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because no one else has told her that. Well, no one told me that I had a colic back here. I was always wondering why this part was always sticking out. So I can cut it a certain way to leave that way. So you tell that client, you're communicating with that client the whole time. And that's what we have to teach the new people.
So true. And it's all about those details. Talk about the consultation again. We can do an hour and a half on this. I do basically 3 consultations. I do the initial one when they sit down. I see their hair. I let them lie to me about their hair. Then, and I'm thinking, as I'm looking at it, I know what I'm going to be doing, whether it's cut-wise or color. I see the hair as they come in. Now, I take them back to the shampoo bowl, shampoo them, bring them back. Now you see what's really going on in their hair, because it isn't straight, as they said it was. There's all kind of texture going on in there. And I do the 3rd consultation, because if I go from my first gut instincts when I first sit down, I'm just so cocksure I'm right. I'm the problem. When they say, don't cut my bangs too long because they're going to pop up. Come on. They pop up.
Yeah.
We've all done it. You lean on them for about 2 days so they stay down.
Right.
So, but it's about details. The biggest thing about hairdressing for me is details. When I paint, it's about details. One of the things I do when I do a blow dry class, I have an image of Michelangelo's Moses. I don't know if you've seen that statue of Moses. And in the statue, Moses, he's holding a book, but he has his little finger up like this little pinky, and his arm is bare. But right here is called the minimus digitalis muscle, which is only seen on the naked arm when that little finger raises. That's all. Just when you do that, that's when it shows. And I say to them, this master of his craft knew that had to be there.
Right.
And he knew it. You don't know it, but he knew it. And he would not have slept well after if he hadn't done it. Yeah. And when you're cutting that bob in the back, and you go, it looks a little long, but it'll go away. That little detail is not going to go away. Then you blow it out, and you go, and you wet it back down again. It's details. If you want to be a master in what you do, it takes total focus on every movement you do. You just cannot say, it's like, we cut bobs every day. I'm going to do 5 bobs today. Okay, so I do the first 3 this way, the way I always do. Oh, I got 2 more. I still get creative. I think I'll go in behind the ear, work my way down, go around the neck. No, I'll eventually get there, but I'll go through a lot of crap, take much more time, and it won't be the same. It's about technique. And I talked earlier about, Sue, about people being technical hairdressers. You know, there are technical hairdressers and there are artistic hairdressers.
Right.
You know, a lot of the cutting classes that I do, and they're a little more advanced, I use a comb to go through the hair. I basically, especially on hair like yours, Sue, my comb goes down and I use raking fingers and I use my hands. Because I know what it's supposed to look like. I look for the balance.
Right.
You know, again, Michelangelo has this beautiful statue of David, a big block of marble. And they go, Michelangelo, how did you do that? He goes, I looked at the marble, I cut everything away that wasn't David.
Yeah.
Solid done. Most of us don't see our work done.
Yeah.
We don't see it from the finish, and that's how we work forward. We just get in there and we pray that something's going to happen. A lot of people, not all, a lot of people. And this is what you get when you are starting out and you don't have the skill set with technical skills or verbal skills.
Yeah.
And business skills, and you try to go out on your own. You know, and you talk about going into a salon that has really, a creative salon is very important. But but there's also another danger in salons, is that when you have a salon that is kind of, people are just all over the place, and you have that one stylist who's, you've been in a room with people, all of a sudden somebody walks in and all the air comes out of the room, right? Oh, the negativity. There are people like that, but there are also people who have big personalities. Yeah. And if there's a word called entrainment. You know what entrainment is? See if you think about going into a room, an empty room, except for maybe 50 big pendulums, there's all these different pendulums hanging there, all different sizes, and you push them all in different ways. Eventually, they'll all end up swinging in the same direction as the largest, more dominant one. And it happens in salons a lot. And sometimes, unfortunately, that dominant one is not the best stylist. They're just the most dominant. Yeah. And then you end up learning and perfecting bad technique.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alan, you talk about ergo. Can you and you are the senior artistic member for Ergo.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more what Ergo brushes do and what you do in the company?
Absolutely. Let me see. I mean, I might even have them here.
We love props.
Well, yeah. Well, so one of the things that most stylists don't really think about is that the most performed service they do every day is a blowout. You do a cut, you do a blowout. You do a color, blowout. You're going to work on the hair for an updo, probably do a blowout. Shampoo. You're holding a brush and a dryer in your hands more than you're holding a tint brush or a comb and a shear. So it makes sense that with all the repetitive motion, you want to have great tools that support you because you want to have longevity. So real quickly, the brushes Robert's will love this, but the brushes are 20% longer than other brushes, which means I get 20% more hair on that barrel. I'm doing this 20% less. Makes sense to me. We have, this is our 25. We look to our 65. We have various brushes. We have a super gentle line for extensions or sensitive scalp. We have great brushes. But the barrel has aluminum and carbon, but it also has, the bristles have tourmaline in them. The tourmaline shuts down the cuticle, forces out the water, creates a lot of shine. We always talk about the ergo shine. It's a tool that truly will make a difference in what you do. For me, you see my painting back there. A lot of times in the past, I would buy cheaper paint brushes. And it's working, the bristles are falling out. It's horrible. I'm not getting the results I wanted. When I started investing in better brushes, my work actually did get better. Makes sense. All my years, I've been doing hair 47 years. I've gone through tons of brushes of all different brands, and they all serve me well, but none have served me more well and better for my craft and my creativity than ergo tools. Yeah. Because they're designed to really help you feel lighter as you work. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
And that's all that we use at the salon also is the ergo brushes. But you have to teach a client, why is that
Absolutely.
handle longer?
Well, check this
And
out. So, I'm
yeah,
just interrupting you. So you see those clients at the people at the mall. They walk by and you go, "Oh, their hair looks great in the front." And you look back at their hair and it's a horror show in the back. Well, I can't. I have a hard time getting back there. Well, the longer handle, let me get further back there. There's a lot. Again, it's when a lot of stylists do not want to retail. Now, let me tell you, the stylists who end up going into a booth rental, or a studio, they learn right away to retail because they know that they can pay their rent with their retail. But a lot of the stylists in commission salons, they don't want to do it. It's just laziness. But that you're actually, when you offer a brush or you offer a pomade or whatever it is you're working with, if you touch it, you talk about it, right? When you offer that, you're basically saying to that person, "I care about you." And when they say to me, "Do I really need that?" If I'm using it, you need it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is. I mean, you're building a really great relationship. And think about this: your clients book maybe every 6 to 8 weeks. You're only seeing that one. It seems like you see them more in a year. You might only see them 5 to 7 times a year. That one client. If you really think about it, that's kind of weird. You don't really. I mean, to me, I always think, "Oh, they're always here," but they're not. So it's 5 or 7 times a year, maybe 8 if you're lucky. That's when you have the time to make the money around that little chair you work at. That's where you make your income. That's where you build your loyalty with that person in your chair. That's where you teach them because you want them to come back. And it's kind of funny when we go to restaurants and so on. If I ever see, I'm with my wife, and I'll be sitting there. She'll go, "Why do you listen to us?" Because they're talking about hair.
Yeah.
And the things they say, all the same things. My hair doesn't stay in, they never listen to me. You see the same things.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of the schools they blow smoke, where it shouldn't be going, in these young people getting out of school, and some of them go out there thinking they can rule the world. And that's why you see online going, "I have to take a second job. I have to go get a waitress job or a waiter." No, you don't.
Oh.
I mean, right now you do, but you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have a plan. And finding the salon. And again, you're right. I'll help out here. So just I'll sweep. Let me just be here.
Right. Right.
The culture of education that we had in the 70s and 80s. And even early 90s is different than it was today.
Yeah.
I mean, it is today. We were always looking for a new class to take, and whatever. We were always looking for a new show. And now you go to the shows, and thank God the ergo booth is always. It's like the nucleus of the show. Anybody is at the ergo booth,
right?
But you walk the perimeter, it's like I could see this at the swap meet.
Right.
exactly.
Well, and what you're saying is, if people would really think about it, your best form of advertising is your client.
Absolutely.
Now, if she walks out of the door and you go, "God, she looked great when she left. Why didn't she come back?" Well, did you prepare her to look like that every day for the next 8 weeks? Because that gal that consistently looked good is the gal who her girlfriends say, "God, your hair always looks good. Who did your hair? Where do you get your hair done?" That's where your new business comes from. And why would you fall all over a new client when you're not even taking care of your old clients?
And it's also when they come back in again after that 6 or 8 weeks, and they sit down. A lot of us are afraid to say, "Well, how did you like your hair?" Because we don't want to know. Because they may not like it. They may not have liked it.
How was it for you? Yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me. I had this one lady from, she was always in. She was like a little tennis gal, and a little blonde bob. Always the same. She'd come in with her tennis skirt on. Did her for a couple of 2-3 years. So how we stand there sometimes we're working on somebody. We go, "Oh, Betty, I haven't heard from Betty for a while." And then you see Betty, right?
Yeah.
And you go to her. So I thought about this Betty, and so I went to the supermarket after work, and I'm walking through the aisles, and I see at the end this woman with a really short red hair. I go, "Hey, that's great." I began to look. Guess who it was?
It was Betty.
It was Betty. And I looked at her. She looked at me. I said, "You look great." She goes, "I'm sorry." I said, "Why?" She goes, "You didn't do it." She goes, "You never changed me." What a wake-up call that was.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because the truth is the strongest thing out there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Lulu and I spent a fair amount of time doing shows and international shows and dragging suitcases through airports and, just talking to you, the wealth of information that you are and fabulous educator. We always like to kind of pull the curtain back and reveal the truth about how things are. Do you happen to have any great war stories you can share?
I have a real good one. So I was the international artistic director for Pravana.
Okay.
Before I went full time with Ergo, and we came out with the Pravana. It was the smoothing system, and so they told me, okay, you have to go and do 2 classes, one in Copenhagen and one in Istanbul. I said, awesome. I left on a Friday. I was back Tuesday morning. I got Friday. I got into Copenhagen, went to bed, woke up, did the class, got on a plane, went to Istanbul, went to bed, got up next morning, did the class, went back on the plane. What a glamorous life!
Yeah, isn't that glamorous?
Yeah. It's but it's so much fun. I've been blessed to be able to do what I do and to touch lives of people. One of the best things for me is when I'm, say, at the Chicago show and someone walk up to me and go, "Oh, I remember you from 3 years ago. You were so nice to me," or blah, blah, blah. Or they go, I've been watching your videos. I've learned so much from you. It's like, yeah, we all have an ego. We all want that. And that's what we're leaving behind for people. But the thing is that I was that same person approaching people.
Yeah.
We want to hear it. Here's another thing about how we are. Most of us as people, we talk to ourselves. Our inner conversations with ourselves are brutal. We talk so horrible. We wouldn't talk to our worst enemy the way we talk to ourselves about ourselves.
Yeah.
And so when I do a class, I'll say, how many here are really great hair cutters? Why am I the only one with a hand up? You have to know that you're great at something. You have to tell yourself. You have to believe in yourself. It's not being a narcissist or an egomaniac, but if you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it.
Right.
It's really about, wanting to be the best, knowing what it takes to be the best, and then doing it. It's like, there's a lot of self-help books. I love self-help books. So one of my favorite ones is The 4 Agreements. Have you guys read that one? I tell every stylist at a class I do, you've got to read The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah.
You know that one?
And now that you're saying it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because it'll help you get through the day with your clients. Yeah. But you read books about how life, and I say, you know what? To me, you can read all those books, but it's like looking out the window going, wow, it looks so nice out there. I bet you it's so nice. Unless you go out, you're not going to know. It's only theory. Everything you read in that book is theory until you put it into practice.
Action.
Right. Exactly.
So I'd like to change it up a little bit and talk about your incredible art. I remember when I was first introduced to your art, because I just knew you as a hair person, and we were at Matrix, and Marcy Kona.
Yes.
And matter of fact, I talked to her yesterday. And I remember she commissioned you to paint for the group a painting, and the painting was
an angel.
An angel.
Angel.
Yeah, and so she made posters and she gave it to us, And I guess you bought the real painting, which I don't know how
Yeah,
much.
yeah. He bought the painting. Yeah.
Yeah, she bought the painting. And can you tell the viewers about that?
Well,
About your incredible art?
well, thank you. Yeah, that was a fun thing. If you remember, we were all going to Vegas. There was a big Matrix thing there,
Uh-huh.
and I did the painting. And I think it was like 24 by 36. It was it was a man, a male angel, on a black background. Very like the Italians call it chiaroscuro. It's like light to dark. So
Mhm.
it's a really cool thing. And Caravaggio painted that way. He's my favorite painter. And so I got prints made in Los Angeles, brought them, and I signed them that night. It was really it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't even have one, but I have a photo of it. But yeah, that was a great experience. But my work is, I paint. I do a lot of portrait commissions. I do a lot of dog portraits, but I do. I think I might have shown you some.
Yeah.
They're different. They're like Renaissance dogs and
Yeah.
outfits. But I do a lot of. I work in gouache and acrylic. This one of the little girl back here on the board. It's on a wood panel, and that's gouache in colored pencil, and that won a couple of awards for me.
Yeah.
I do a lot of combined medium, and so I'm very fortunate. I try to do art every day. I do a lot of art with my grandkids. I guess I'm talented grandkids with that. But I use when I do my classes, I will sometimes bring some smaller paintings to show. You see, here's the thing about me as an educator, and I think all educators should be this way. First of all, when you're able to go into a classroom, the person who brings you in, they have confidence in you. Mm-hmm. And just like being a black belt in front of a class of students, if I have to beat them up to like me or respect me, I'm a horrible teacher.
Yeah.
So when I talk about my art, I have the receipts. When I talk about my martial arts, I have the receipts. And so for me, it's really important to, as an artist, to bring out everything I do. And your hair is my canvas. I have a canvas. Like I said, I could cook. That plate's my canvas. It's all about just trying things, doing things differently, not being complacent. Once you become complacent behind the chair, especially, that's the death knell for your career.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to lose out.
Yeah.
So as an artist, I use my eye to see things differently. I approach my hair differently. I approach my paintings differently. And I honestly approach life the same way. So.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You're incredible. I remember one time I have this Latina artist. As a matter of fact, we're going to interview her sometime. I mean, she's going to come and get her haircut with me next week. But anyway, I was to do this artist showing at the Opera House. So I thought I was among all these other artists. So when you work in a salon, you just do hair and you do what you love and you don't think about it. And so I asked one of the girls at the front desk, I said, can you find out when I'm supposed to drop off my artwork? And she says, Lulu, have you looked at the website? I said, no, I haven't. She says, you're the feature artist. I said, oh, shit. So I called my friend, the Latina artist, which she sells her work for, thousands of dollars. I said, can you come to the salon and show me what I need to show and look at my art? So I had done these 4 ladies, and they were all actual models that I did. And so I put everything out, and I had some on boards that I did some very abstract stuff. And she looked at the girls, and she says, Lulu, you have the eyes far apart. You have the nose up high, the mouth down below. I said, but it's what do you call it?
Abstract.
Abstract. And she says, no, you know better than that. She said, and she's a realistic painter, and she's not an abstract painter. And I go, what do you mean? She says, well, look, all the features are in the wrong place and you should know better. And so she took them out at the back of the salon and she had me redo them. And she, and, you know, and she says, you know, and as we all know, there's 5 eyes across the face, you know, and you divide the face into 3s, and you know all those things. And so she took her the brush and showed me where I needed to put the eyes, where I needed to put the nose, and where I need to put the mouth. So I just rearranged it a little bit, and
Right.
thank God I did it in acrylic.
Yeah.
Thank God I did it in acrylic. So, you know, I did that and I sold all of them,
Wonderful.
you know. So the thing is that, you know, unless you're a person that you get somebody that knows more, you always surround yourself with people that know more than you and to tell you what you're doing wrong and not take it personally and go, oh shit, really? You know, and to be able to see that and that's the way she was. She says, do you see that the eyes are too far apart? Do you see that the nose is not at the right place? And then because I just do paintings because I just enjoy doing that, I don't really take the time to look at it as I do the hair part because I do more hair than I do
Right.
painting.
Right.
So it's interesting to see that you know, you do hair, you do art, and everything you do is so awesome. It's so awesome.
You know, one of the funny, the real fun icebreakers I do before a class. We all do icebreakers, and before a cutting class, a few times I would take a couple little boxes. I would have crayons, I had markers, pencils. I had you know, it's everything you could possibly make a mark on paper with, and I have papers. And you have like maybe 8, 9, 10 people in the class. And I said, okay, before we start, I said, I want you to come up here and get a piece of paper and get something, 2 things, something to draw with. Okay, so they get their stuff, they sit down, and I have a little timer. I said, okay, I'm putting this timer on for 5 minutes. I want you to draw me. And I stand, and they're what? No. And then they're laughing, giggling. They sit out there doing what they do. And then timer goes off, and we take it. I put them up on the wall with a little piece of tape, and I say, wow, you all saw me so differently. That's one thing. So when a client comes in, we see clients differently.
Wow, yeah.
Now, what did you pick to draw with? Some of you picked a pencil with an eraser because you like to make mistakes. You don't like to make mistakes, so you like to be able to do that. Redo it. So I'm sure as a cutter, you take your time. You know, you chip at it. Some of you just picked a marker. I mean, you get in there, boom, you take it off, right? It is supposed to show you some of you are very avant-garde in your approach. Some of you are very conservative in your approach, very contemporary. So what you need to do is blend them. If you're just a technician, today become an artist. If you're just nothing but an artist, where you could chew the hair off and make something great, now become a technician again. Find that really happy medium. And I tell you, when you have people see things a little differently visually, that's kind of a fun thing.
Wow. Yeah, it is.
Alan, I have, you know, true confession, I told you I followed you for a long time. And when I see your art, I stop and I study it. And there were, I think it was a series, there may have been 2 or 3, where it was people floating in water.
That's my favorite.
Blew me away. And you also do, which is very interesting to me, you do a lot of religious paintings.
Yes.
I feel like I'm back in Italy. I spent a fair amount of time in Italy, and I'm like, did he study there? Where does this come from? There are very few people who pick the subject matter you pick and paint it in the way you do. When I tell you I've spent hours looking at your paintings, that is not a lie. Lulu will tell you I'm a lot of things, but a liar isn't one of them. And what I always wonder when I look at them is not even so much the skill, because I know you have that, but where does that inspiration? Where does that, there's something inside that comes out of you when you paint. Where does that come from?
Well, since I'm Italian, and since I was an altar boy at a Catholic school, it's probably
Mea
probably
culpa, mea culpa.
it was probably the corporal punishment I got from the nuns. That no, when I paint religious scenes, or it could be Jesus or Mary, or I've done Saint Joseph. That becomes it's like meditation to me. It really is meditation. And like Linda Langley has one I did of it's Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, and it's my favorite thing to paint on a portrait. And I think it's the most important thing are the eyes, because the eyes can really, I mean, they just tell the story. And so whenever I do a painting that has a religious feel to it, it's usually at a time when I'm already done with some conditions and I need to center myself into something, and I absolutely love it. And I'm the Renaissance painters, Caravaggio in particular. When I went to Italy and a few times, and when I went to Florence, and I was at the Uffizi Gallery, and I was able to see some of these paintings. It's just what I would do. In fact, I do this to all paintings in great museums. Like I love Dali. I'll get as close as I can before they yell at me. The guard yells at me to get away. And I say, this is how close that person was when they painted.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what they saw. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to say, I feel I do good work. Sometimes I'll look at these paintings, I'll go back to them. I did it today for a few of them, and I'll think, I don't remember doing it. But I'm impressed by it, but I don't remember doing it. And every time I do, even with haircutting, every time I start a new painting, I have doubts. I have doubts until I get into a little bit, and then I start really getting it. But it comes from in here, it really does.
Yeah. I'm going to be really bold, but if there are people out there who are just loving listening to you and us talk about your art, I hope it's okay if I would ask them to go to Facebook and like you so they can see your incredible work. It's
you can also go on Papaleo Fine Arts. That's my IG. I have paintings on there.
Yes, because it's so inspiring, and I just so enjoy you. I don't even have to see your work in the salon because I see what you do through your art. And I know that when you're working on a live person, it has to be just incredible. And I know you're a great educator, but not all educators. Some can teach, some can do, some do both. And certainly you do that.
I enjoy it. I mean, to me, whatever, whether you're teaching karate, whether you're teaching hairdressing, painting, it's really about sharing ideas. One of the things most of us don't realize is when we're working in the salon, sometimes you don't feel like you're doing the best work. You think that, I wish I could be like everybody else. There's always somebody who's in that salon looking at you thinking, I wish I could be like her, or I wish I could be like him. How does she do that? We're electing gurus at times. We don't even know what we're doing to people. So for me, it's the old thing. When after a class, you want people to leave there feeling, they might not even remember half the stuff they learned. But leave there feeling good about themselves. They can do it. Because how many times have you been to a show and you see a great cutter up on stage, but they're doing the most bizarre haircuts. And you're thinking, that's great, but really, I can't take that back.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the black belt beating up the white belt.
Yeah.
It's fun to do avant-garde for a show theme, but when you're just doing it all day at a booth or on a stage, it's all for you and not for them.
Right.
It's not for them.
Right.
Know your audience.
Exactly. So can you tell the audience again how to find you and follow you?
Yeah, so my IG is Papaleo Fine Arts.
Papaleo Fine Arts. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so they can find you on Facebook. On Instagram also.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Great.
Well, it's been a joy having you on this podcast.
I
We
loved it.
thoroughly enjoy it, and we'd love to have you back and talk a little bit more about what you're doing in the hair industry and also with your paintings.
Yeah.
Anytime, my loves. Anytime. Merry Christmas to all.
And Merry
Same
Christmas
to
to
you.
you. Thank you so much again.
All righty. Love
Okay.
you.
Love you too. Be well.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/artists, icons, entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavidez, on IG at Lulu Benavidez, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavidez.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.